Hello and welcome to TalkBack, the show where we ask tough, compelling questions from tough, compelling people. Some call her the face of the alternative art cinema in India. She starred in movies which critics say have pushed the envelope. She's also a social activist who's worked with Pakistanis across the border for cultural ties. Some call her the bastion of the parallel art form in film in India. We call her a rebel with a cause. Nandita Das. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to TalkBack.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the introduction.
All right. I'm going to start with a quote. This is from The Hindu, 9th February 2006, in an article called The Doesnt of the Cannes jury commented, "I thought you were a sweet little Indian girl, but you are a firecracker."
Others to say, right? Not me. So, well, I was, I think, because they thought I was in saris and in my skirts, and maybe she's going to be this demure little Indian girl. But obviously, all of us have opinions, and you want to. I'm fairly vocal, I'm outspoken, so I guess that's where I got that label.
Okay, this is what surprised me about Cannes. This is what surprised me. In the Telegraph from Calcutta on May 27th, you said, for me personally, this whole Cannes thing has been a validation, a bit of reassurance of what I have done in my life. You don't sound like or strike me as the sort of person who would hold Cannes as a yardstick.
So it's not a yardstick, not at all. It called me. I was like, yeah, are you sure you've got the right number? You know, because to be on the jury in Cannes is a big deal. And I'm not that, I've been doing my kind of work where most people, especially here in the industry, say, you know, you've wasted your life, you've wasted your talent, you live in Delhi, you don't do commercial films, you do these obscure regional films that nobody wants to see. So at some level, the fact that you make your own choices, the fact that you create your own little space or live by what you believe in, it's a validation for that. Sometimes it comes from a close friend because you can also sometimes feel that, God, have I made really that wrong choices? I mean, not that I'm in huge dilemma every day, but there are moments that you feel that, you know, when you see a film and you think, my God, I wish I could have done that role. But then the choices you make, you also lose out on certain work because you're not as visible, you're not as marketable and all of that. So I think in some ways I felt that, okay, here some people are recognizing the fact that the choices I've made aren't that bad. So in that sense, it wasn't sort of a big deal or I was waiting for that kind of validation to believe in what I do. When you believe in something, you have a conviction, you just believe in it.
All right, speaking of believing, some people also believe that, and this is another quote from you, "I'm quite happy to be away from Bollywood." So the question is, are you A, happy, or B, do you think you haven't fit in?
No, I think if anybody in today's times wants to be busy, there's tons of work. You can always be busy in the kind of work that is not the one you want, but a little below that, there's enough to do. I mean, I did Fire in '96, and how time flies, but it's been 12 years since I've been working, and the thought of actually shifting to Bombay or doing sort of more mainstream work has never even crossed my mind. So it's not like I'm battling with myself and thinking, oh, wait, I wish I could do that. Let me try 10 films and see how it goes. Sometimes I dance and people say, oh, but you dance well. You could have done Bollywood. So they think that it's something about can and can't kind of a thing. You know, it's more a choice, and I think that's sometimes tough for people to understand because they think acting is to get a name and fame, and if it is for all of that, why would you want to deny it? But it's not about denying it, it's a choice of life.
All right, let's switch tactics. All right?
Yeah.
Fire and Earth.
Right.
Two landmark movies, which we can talk about the movies in just a second, but post movies or during the movies, the riots which happened, I guess you could call it the attention which the movies was given. I'm not going to get into exactly why or why not. I think that's been done to death. But I want to talk about just the simple fact that why isn't India ready to take on tough, gritty issues through its cinema, considering the history of Indian cinema?
Yeah, but if you see world over, when there is plenty, then there is also corruption. There is good, bad and ugly because that space is available. So whether you take Hollywood or you call it Bollywood or you take independent cinema, so there is space for all of that. Your mainstream cinema, yes, doesn't tackle many of these issues. In fact, they're also trying to stretch their boundaries, maybe not enough. But there have been alternate cinema or there have been strong subjects that have been tackled over the years. They are few in number, but they've always been. So
No, but just the sort of reaction we read in the international press, in the national press about what happened, the criticism the filmmaker got, you guys as actors got. I mean,
but I don't think it was only criticism. I think there was a debate, which I think was good. Something like Fire. I mean, our societies, when I say our South Asian societies, can be fairly hypocritical, can have double standards, and can come up with things like, oh, homosexuality is all a Western concept, and India doesn't have, and all kinds of ridiculous things. But it had a whole range of dialogue. It wasn't just that people, there was a handful of people, in fact, who had problems with it. It got passed through the censor without a single cut, which we ourselves are kind of shocked about. And then there were a handful of people who attacked the theatre, came to the streets, but there were many more who took to the streets saying, come on, this has to be freedom of expression. You can't tell us, you can't be the cultural polices and tell us what we should watch and what we shouldn't. So I think it created an interesting debate, which was good.
so India
And that
is
is good for a society to grow.
So you think the debate was healthy?
Well, healthy, I think.
Because critics would say
right.
that India is, and this is once again I'm going to reframe my question, that India is not ready to take on those issues,
Well, it was.
especially to its cinema.
No, I think India, how can one, it's not a monolith. We can't say whether India as such is a large country with many different views. I mean, I think it's a country of paradoxes. You will find the sharpest, the brightest, the most progressive, the most outspoken minds here. And you will find extremely regressive and conservative and, those kind of minds as well. So it's not a monolith. There are all kinds of different thoughts. And anything that creates that dialogue or brings those thoughts to the fore, those who are confused, I think 60–70% of people are always sitting on the fence. They are sort of ready to be influenced by different ideas.
Right.
And those are the people who then kind of hear different point of views and make up their mind. So I think it's a good thing. I mean, now it's been 12 years. So much has been written about issues of homosexuality, and also Fire was not only about that. It kind of questioned arranged marriage system. It talked about lack of choices that women have. So it brought about a whole discussion on all these issues, and I think to say whether India is ready or not is kind of simplifying it.
We have to take a short break here. We're with Nandita Das. You're watching TalkBack. Do not go anywhere.